Module 4, Lesson 30 has us moving into a understanding of how algebraic equations are used with geometric shapes. And here are a set of definitions that you're going to need to write in your notes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly read through them to you, maybe give a brief explanation, but overall I'm going to need you just to copy them down. So first, a point is an exact location that has no size. It's just a dot on a number line or a graph. A line is a straight path between 2 points, 2 or more points, but it extends forever. So the points kind of tell you the direction that your line will go, but then the line keeps going. A line segment stops. It doesn't actually go beyond the points, but there are 2 ends, and everything in between them count as a part of that line segment. A ray is a part of a line that starts at an endpoint, but then it extends beyond the other side. So you see this is actually a point like the segment, but then over here it's like the line. An angle is formed by 2 rays with a common endpoint, and so these are our 2 rays because they extend with the arrows forever, and then they have that common point. A vertex is a shared endpoint of 2 rays that form an angle, so it looks very similar to the angle there. Then you have an acute angle. An acute angle is an angle with an inside measure greater than 0 and less than 90 degrees. So between 0 and 90, the angles would be the smaller ones. An obtuse angle is anywhere between a 90 and 180 degrees, so it's the larger one. A right angle is exactly 90 degrees. It's a perfect corner. A straight angle would be a line, and that's 180 degrees. A reflex angle is the other side of an acute angle, and it's an angle with a measure greater than 180 and less than 360, so you want to go on the outside of whatever the smaller angle would be. You have congruent angles, which are angles that are opposite of each other. So you see if 2 lines cross each other, the opposite angles will be the exact same size. So this example, you have 120, 120, and then 60 and 60. Altogether, it equals 360 because if we went from one line all the way around, that would be a circle, which is 360 degrees. And then adjacent angles are next to each other. This is a right angle, so the 2 of those have to equal 90 degrees. These here are on a straight line, so altogether that has to equal 180. Adjacent angles are angles that are side by side and have a common vertex, may or may not have the same measure. So they could either be the same number or they may be different numbers. So after you have those written down, I want you to go into the book and I want you to write down the definitions of the ones in here. So this one, you just have to do acute, obtuse, right, straight, and over here you'll do reflex. So you're just going to copy those out of your book. Now let's go ahead and go to that first problem. So it says ABC, so ABC measures 90 degrees, and you know that because of this box right here that signals that it's 90 degrees altogether. The angle has been separated into 2 angles. If one angle measures 57, what's the measure of the other angle? How are these 2 angles related? Well, combined, they equal 90 degrees, and they are adjacent angles because they're next to each other. So adjacent, there we go. What equation could we use to solve for x? That would be 57 plus x equals 90 degrees. Now let's solve. So 57 degrees plus x degrees equals 90 degrees. We're adding, so we're going to subtract 57. Subtract 57. You get that x is equal to 33 degrees. And if you wanted to check it, you could add that together. It should equal 90. That's 10, carry 1, 5 plus 1 plus 3 is 9, so that's 90 degrees. Example 2. So these, how is the angle x related to 115? Well, they're next to each other, so they are adjacent angles that equal 180 degrees because they are on a straight line or a straight angle. And so what equation would you use? You'd use x plus 115 equals 180 degrees because you're adding. Well, we're going to do that on the other side. So how would you solve that equation? That is x plus 115 equals 180 degrees. Because we're adding, we're going to subtract 115, subtract 115, and x equals 65 degrees. Now, how is angle y related to the angle that measures 115? Well, if I look over here, so if you look here, x and 15 are adjacent to this line, and then y and 115 are adjacent on that line. And so how is y related to the angle that measures 115? Y is adjacent with 115 degrees on a straight line angle. Now, because y is also with 115, it'd be the same equation. It'd actually be y plus 115 also has to equal 180. And so y would be 65 degrees. You also know that because they are congruent. They're opposite of each other. Because opposite angles of two intersecting lines are equal, they both have to be the same amount. Let's go to example 3. Now this one's a little different because you didn't have an example of this in the vocabulary list that I gave you. So we're going to take a look. This here is a straight angle, and remember a straight angle has to equal 180 degrees. And so that means all of this, no matter how many lines I would put through it, has to equal 180 degrees. So how are the angles in this equation related? All together, these equal 180 degrees because they are on a straight angle. Now, what equation could you use to solve that? Well, if we add them all together, then you end up with 180 degrees. And so your equation would be all of those added up together. So that would be 55 plus x plus 55 equals 180 degrees. Now we're going to combine the like terms. So we're going to combine our numbers. And so if we were to solve this, we'd have 55 degrees plus x degrees plus 55 equals 180. We're going to combine our numbers. So combine numbers. So that's 55 plus 55. You get 110. And so that's going to be 110 plus x equals 180. Since we're adding, we're going to take away 10. We're subtracting 10. X equals 70 degrees. And let's go to example 4. ABC measures 90 degrees, so I'm actually going to draw this for you. So we have 90 degrees, remember, is a perfect corner. So ABC measures 90 degrees. It has been split into two angles, ABD and DBC. So we have A, B, C. I know B is the corner because B is the middle letter. And then that means if there is split here, this is going to be D. Now, it says the measure of the two angles is in a ratio of 4 to 1. What are the measures of each angle? So this is a 4 to 1 ratio. So if we had a tape diagram that shows us, we have ABD in this side, so ABD, we're doing this here. And then you have, what is that, DBC. is a 1. And remember, the total, 4 and 1, is 5. Now, they told us the total of our angle was 90 degrees. And so what you can do is you can actually use our proportions, or you could skip count, or you could divide, whatever you would like, to be honest. So if we are going to do proportions, we would take 90 times 1, which is 90, and then we divide by 5. 90 divided by 5 is 18. And then with this one, it would be 18 times 4 divided by 1. So 18 times 4 is 32. That would be a 72. So what is the measure of each angle? You have ABD is equal to 72 degrees, and DBC is equal to 18 degrees. Now, like I said, you could have actually skip counted all the way down until your total became 90. So you would have done 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, and you could have just kept going until you got to 90. That takes too much time. So proportions are really easy. You set it up like that first, and then you just do that last part there. You also could have divided 90 divided by 5, and you would have gotten 18. So 18 times 1 and 18 times 4. Either of those works. How can we represent this situation with an equation? You would put that 1 plus the other equals 90. So you could say 4 times something plus 1 times something is going to equal 90 degrees. And the something is, this is what our ratio was, but we knew that that ratio, those numbers weren't big enough, so we were going to have to multiply them by something. So right here is that ratio. And so you would put, to solve it, 4x's plus 1x would be 5x's equal 90. So divide by 5. X equals 18. And if you have 4x and 1x, that would be 4 times 18 and 1 times 18. So you get 72 degrees and 18 degrees for your angles. So that's ABD and DBC. All right, what I'm going to have you guys do is I'm going to go ahead and have you do a couple exercises and see what you guys come up with. I would like you to do number 6. I want you to do number 5, number 4, number 3, number 2. I want number 5 and number 1. So really it looks like I'm going to have you do everything, but you do not have to do number 7. So 1 through 6, and you go ahead and check your work.